I was very dysfunctional in a lot of ways. I didn't quite know how to cope with any emotions. I started regularly using when I was 14 or 15, dropped out of high school, did online school, didn't really work. Binge drank for a while as a teenager, then was shot at a kind of wrong place, wrong time sort of scenario. I lost my cousin who was my best friend and my roommate. He died that night, and so I didn't leave the house for like an entire year. I just threw myself into a time warp where I just pretended like it never happened. So then I turned to drugs as a means to cope. I started with drinking and cocaine, and then I progressed into using meth. Having a parent choose drugs over you on a daily basis leaves a scar so deep that every relationship in my life is affected by it. My perception of reality was incredibly distorted to the point where I thought everyone in my surroundings was against me. I would be convinced that the two people that I lived with were plotting against me. They were going behind my back. My roommates, who were functional addicts, were looking at me like, you need to get a job and you need to start contributing here. So I had this pressure to then go out into the world and get this job. And so I had this job interview. I missed that job interview because I was sobbing on the floor in my bedroom in a pile of clothes, frantically searching for the right pair of pants. I just remember hearing them talk in the other room and being like, what's wrong with her? Like, how do we help her? Every relationship that I had at the time was incredibly dysfunctional. I would lie, I would steal from my roommates, from my boyfriend. My road to recovery started when I walked into my probation officer's check-in, and I looked at her and I just said, this isn't working. I need to do something different. But I moved forward into drug court. I spent a few days in jail, and then I was picked up by this woman who owns the Steps to Recovery homes in Cottonwood, and she just said, okay, so what do you know about recovery? And I'm like, I've been to some meetings. And she's like, okay, well, our program is 6 months. I panicked inside because at that point I could not conceptualize past like a week. I had to live in that, one day at a time motto that I still couldn't hardly conceptualize that either. I literally had to write down every hour of my day and submit it to my probation officer for approval. Classes twice a week, meeting every day, full-time job. I also started going to school full-time in early recovery. I think I had about 90 days clean, and I was like, hey, I want to be a full-time college student. I'm ambitious. I have to find my life purpose. I moved from the north part of my state to the southern part of the state. I now live with my family, and I have a daughter. To understand the way that my mind and my body was hijacked by the substance I was using, and being able to disassociate from those cravings so that you can say, okay, just because I have that craving and I'm having that thought, I am not that thought, I am not that emotion, and then move along. Even though I was having those thoughts and I really wanted to use, I found myself at a meeting. I found myself fulfilling my service commitments. Even though my life has been full of trauma, it's been full of loss, it's been full of hardship, I don't have to be a result of those experiences. You don't have to just curl up in a ball and cry. You can look at everything that happened to you. You can say, okay, yes, this was painful for me, but what did it teach me? What do I now know as a result of this experience? For me, the most valuable currency in my life is the effect I have on others. You don't have to be the product of your life. That story that defines you, that one that you keep telling over and over and over to justify your reality, does not have to dictate your actions anymore. There's now nothing in my life that can hold me back. The world is now my oyster, and I can do whatever I put my mind to. And I have. There are people that care. There are organizations that will bring you in and love you until you love yourself. Keep taking baby steps. every day do something for your recovery. Even if you're still using, every day do something for your recovery. Is it painful to remember those things that you feel such deep shame for? Yes. But the power that you receive through going through that transformation is invaluable.